Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Francis and this is the channel of your choice. Thank you so much for always tuning in. Thank you so much for always joining me. Like you can see, I'm on holiday. I did already one video about being on a holiday. It's an educationist. If you haven't watched that, please go back to the channel and watch that and see where I am coming from. And like you can see, I cannot afford even a single makeup. I don't have time even to wear earrings or to do any makeup because I'm out of time and out of the deadline, and the lines are almost dying. The deadlines to put in and key in my marks for my students, and that is where I'm coming from. So I am in my small office in my house working from home. If you haven't watched that video again about a day on a holiday of a high school teacher, just go back and watch and see the connection with it, and don't forget to subscribe. So what I'm doing is that I want us to mark this one specific paper with you, and I want us to mark specifically one question with you. So you like such stuff, you would want to know whether you went through this system, whether you went through some of these questions during your school life, especially in high school. You won't want to miss this, and you want to mark this specific question with me. Tune in, let's go to the end and let us mark this question with you, and I tell you the expectation that the students are supposed to write, so that if you have a high school student and you'd want to help, you can help, and then you can know the system and the syllabus and what we go through. What are you waiting for? Subscribe and let's get into work together. So thank you viewers for subscribing. Thank you so much, and may God bless you even as you do it. I'm saying that I am trying to beat the deadline because the lines are almost dead. I have like a day or so, and I still have a whole bundle and I have to finish. And what I'm marking here is what I call paper 3, or what we call paper 3 even in KCSE. And in our system of education, my name is Anna Francis. I don't know whether I introduced myself like that because I said I cannot afford a luxury of even a makeup, but I needed to do some content, and I decided why not do content instead of because I'm so busy marking this, why not do a content on the line of what I do most of the time, apart from being a content creator. And so what I'm trying to mark here is a paper 3, paper 3 in English, which is talking about creative composition and essay based on set books. When I did the other video that I'm telling you to watch on a day in a holiday for a high school teacher, I talked about the set books that the students are supposed to read, the 3 of them. I did it in my high school also during my time, some years back. I think many of you. I don't know whether you're going to tell me whether you do your set book. If you're in Kenya, which set book did you do? If you're in diaspora, which set book did you do? You are in another system of education, like British and the American and the rest, what do you do? Do you have some novels that you read? Do you have some compositions that you do? So what I'm doing, and the question that I want us to mark, is about creative composition and essay based on set books. The 3 set books, and so 2 set books actually. And so this is made up of 3 questions. And one of the questions is about creative composition, whereby you're given a certain topic as a student and you are supposed to talk about that specific question that you're given. And then you have 2 questions that are talking about set books. That is the set text that you're supposed to read and comprehend. And then you're given a question in terms of the theme, a question in terms of the characters, and then you're supposed to express yourself, and you are awarded 20 marks in the three questions. So which question do I want us to mark together? The question that I want us to mark together is the question on the creative composition. Here, the student is supposed to be very creative. The student is supposed to come up with a story according to the line that he's given or the context in which he's supposed to talk about, and be creative enough to come up with a story that is convincing, to come up with an interesting story, and to come up, and I need to quote this and emphasize on this, to come up with a morally upright story or topic. And this is the question that I want us to talk about. Now remember, I said in paper 3, the 3 questions are supposed to bring up a lot of moral. So we emphasize very much on morals. And so when the student is very creative, the student is supposed to talk about things which are morally upright. So let me read for you the first question and I tell you what I have marked. So the setters of the exam, including the KCSE, is supposed to come up with a question that will bring up a moral. If you are setting about an oral narrative or a story, and you've given them a comprehension in terms of a narrative, that narrative should by the end of the day bring up a moral lesson for the student to copy or run or ape. And so we normally say that if in a certain piece or a set book there is a lot of evils, we always ensure that, or the authors ensure that, and even the teachers ensure that the good will always prevail. And so by the end of the day, even if they will not continue reading these novels, they will have learned something from those novels. So the question that I want us to mark up with us together is an imaginative composition. I don't want us to talk about the set books because we may not have read the set books, and I am emphasizing on the morals that these youngsters are supposed to learn. So this question talks about, there are 2. One is supposed to be expository or argumentative, and the other one is supposed to be very creative. Both of them you'll have to be very creative and come up with whatever you're supposed to write, depending on the context of the question. So the A is you're supposed to either write a composition beginning with the following sentence. I was mistaken to have thought that the night would be like other peaceful nights. That composition or creative writing must start with that specific sentence. Drop a comment and let me know if you're in this system of our country here in Kenya, whether you had such compositions and what did you like about them. And the other one, they are supposed to choose between the 2. So either between that and write a composition on the topic. So here you're given a specific topic. It's something which is refusing to come out. Allow me. Yes. Mark with me. Whether good or bad, listen to this carefully because I want us to discuss it together. Whether good or bad, social media cannot be done away with. That was a very open topic, and that is the specific question that I want us to deal with together. The other one was about, I was mistaken to have thought that the night would be like other peaceful nights. All, whether good or bad, social media cannot be done away with. Which topic would you have chosen to talk about? I'm interested with this topic of whether good or bad, social media cannot be done away with. Remember, I am dealing with teenagers and I would want to know whether they know the good of the social media and the badness of the social media. And so when I read and I realize that they know the pros and the cons of a social media, then I am very much happy to know that they know the limit and they have to limit, and they know where the social media can take them, and they know where the social media can mess them, and they know where the social media can help them. So I have one that I was looking at, and this specific one has answered this question on the social media. I'll read one whereby one has answered the question on I thought the night was supposed to be very peaceful, and another one whether good or bad social media cannot be done away with. Which one would you have chosen? Drop a comment and let me know which one you would have chosen. And so I was very happy with this one. For this specific question, you're supposed to talk about the good and the bad side of the social media. This is what we call expository. You have to talk about both sides, but you're not supposed to take any side. And that is the marking scheme. And then how you present it grammatically matters a lot. What vocabulary have you used also matters a lot. So in this case, we are supposed to come up with around 6 paragraphs, or whereby you're supposed to come up with an introduction on that specific topic, and then conclusion, and then you come up with 4 points. Probably, maybe they can choose to come up with 4 points, 2 on the good side and 2 on the bad side. And then the marking scheme is supposed to be talk about 2 marks for the introduction, 2 marks for the conclusion, and 3 for the 4 points that you come up with on the good and the bad side of the social media. And that adds up to 20 marks, with the remainder of the points remaining to be put on the language and the vocabulary that the student has used. So this one has talked about the social media. As the introduction, I think I'm going to be very clear. This boy has written about the social media, also known as the internet, is one of the world's most used things. It has brought a lot of good things and some bad things. It is widely used by both children and adults. Social media keeps growing and keeps updating us as time goes by, and this has brought some effects. So that is the introduction. How do you feel about that introduction? One of the good things about social media, this is point number 1, is it has really created a platform for research. And then here, when you note something which is not adding up, like a spelling, then you have to put the right spelling for them. The internet has Wikipedia, in which people write their take on a particular topic. The internet is widely used by students, and mostly those from universities. They are to carry out researches and also come up with projects. The internet has helped most of the doctors in curing a particular disease. Nowadays, you need not to go to the hospital. You can type some of your symptoms and identify both the disease and how to cure it. But this one, I would advise you to go to the hospital first. Moreover, point number 2, the internet has been a platform. Moreover, is a sentence connector. So connecting from the first point to the next point. Moreover, the internet has been a platform for advertisement. This has mostly benefited the people engaged in selling or of their product. If you need something, you can just Google it, and the internet will be able to help you. Those people who buy online. And it continues like that, illustrations and giving examples. Also, sentence connector, the internet has made communication better. Long ago, if you wanted to talk to someone who lives far, you had to write a letter, which will take a long time for the message to be delivered. Through the internet, one can be able to communicate with someone from a different continent. Not only can you communicate with them on a call or message, but also one can see them. Through the use of Skype, Zoom, and WhatsApp, one can be able to see the person he or she intends to talk to. The internet has also made communication fast, as long as both parties have access to internet. Message can take a second to reach them. How do you feel about that? Now, I'm going to read 2 more points whereby the badness or the evils of the social media has been expressed here. However, is negative. So the good things, then you use the sentence connector to connect with the bad things. However, the internet has also brought some bad stuff in our society. The internet has been the cause of depression to some of the teenagers. This is because of cyberbullying. So you see, this is a teenager who is writing this story and he has put himself in it. He knows there is cyberbullying, which has made so many teenagers to have low self-esteem, which has made so many teenagers to commit suicide because of the cyberbullying. And when you see them writing like this, then you are aware that they know where the issue is. Now listen to this. This is because of cyberbullying. Depression comes to the teenagers because of cyberbullying. This is where people bully one another by sharing negative comments or even abusing each other. Some teenagers develop low self-esteem and others go ahead and commit suicide. The sad part about this is people lose confidence in themselves and develop negative attitude towards people. Most of them tend to feel unloved and not worthy. And so as a teacher, as a counselor, I'm so happy to see that these boys and these teenagers are aware of what social media can do to them. Another vice of the internet is it has led to exposure to many things, even illegal ones. The internet has almost everything. This has really affected the small children and teenagers. Small children get to watch adult content in which their minds are corrupted by such. I remember hearing some of the members of assembly in our country talking about TikTok and talking about the evils that are happening in the TikTok as one of the platform of the social media and what is happening in TikTok at night, and even they are contemplating on regulating what is supposed to be put in the TikTok because people have started misusing it. And being in Kenya, I have heard that Kenya has a lot of usage on the TikTok. And so when I see a teen writing this, the teenagers watch that kind of content and want to experiment. So when they experiment, they do what they are seeing it watched. And this is what I was talking about, observation. They observe and they try. This has led to an increase in teenage pregnancy and spread of sexually transmitted infections. People get to buy illegal things like guns where they use it to cause harm and danger to other people. And then conclusion, the internet indeed is a good tool and would even be better if the vices it has are dealt with. Doing away or removal of pornographic materials and censoring some of the negative comments or even deleting the comments would really help. How many marks would you give such? I'm so excited to have read that. And when they're given such topics and they're able to express it themselves, then they are cautious about how they use the internet. If I go to the other one, I'm looking for the other one who has talked about, let's see whether I'll get another one who has talked about the night. Let's see. I'm looking for one which has talked about what? So I had marked another one which was talking about, I thought that night was social media. I'm looking for one which has talked about, I was mistaken. Whether good or bad, most of them have answered that question of whether good or bad about the social media. I'm looking for one which has talked about good or bad. Social media. Now, I don't seem to find one which has talked about, I thought that night was going to be peaceful. And let me see whether I'll get one, and I want us to mark us together. Social media, everybody has answered the question on social media. Okay. There is this one who has talked about, she thought that that night was going to be peaceful but was mistaken. And I had done all my... So I was mistaken. They're supposed to start with this statement. So I'll just read a few of it and then I call it a marking. I was mistaken to have thought that the night would be like other peaceful nights. That was the beginning. I was on Friday, 21st December. I had done all my duties in the house all day and was worn out. I decided to take a rest in the living room before I went to prepare the evening meal, which was a finger-licking trout and kales. And so they were supposed to talk about that night, and somehow, somewhere, the night is getting lost. Suddenly, when I switched on the television, I saw a big highlight that KCSE results were out. My parents were still at work. That November, I had done my examination and was waiting for results. I took my phone and sent a message so that I can receive my results. I waited anxiously while my heart skipped a beat. Beep, beep. The results were sent to my phone. I first knelt and prayed to God. I wished that Lady Luck had knocked my door. Boom! I had a B minus. I shouted with joy. So what happens is that they are supposed to be very creative. And so in such a composition whereby you are given a sentence to start with or a statement to start with, you're supposed to be very creative. You're supposed to come up. I'm looking for one that I was marking that had really come up with a nice story, but I can't get it. And so they are supposed to be very creative. And once they become very creative, they should come up with characters. And yeah, I don't know where I've kept it. They're supposed to come up with a story. That is part of the marking scheme. They're supposed to be very creative, and the story should have a lot of morals. So specifically, what will happen to this question is that I was mistaken to have thought that the night would be like other peaceful nights. The marking scheme reads that this specific composition, which is supposed to be a story, must start with a given sentence. If not, you're supposed to deduct marks. It must come up with a credible scenario that is suggested that the given sentence should be presented. That you thought that the night was going to be peaceful, but you are mistaken. And then you, as a narrator, should outline the mistake you made in thinking the night would be peaceful. Narrator should also outline why the night wasn't peaceful. So by the end of the day, the story that you come up with must show that the night was not peaceful and how wrong you are to think that that night was very peaceful. And so you are supposed to be very creative, come up with the characters of the story, and that is why it is called creative writing. Now you know. Do you have a relative who is in high school? If you want to help, you can help. You can tell them to be very creative. And you can always emphasize on the morals of whatever they are writing about. Now, the beauty part of the paper 3 is that they express themselves. And the more convincing they are, the better they are to the examiners, those who are going to mark for them. So they need to be very creative. They need to comprehend what they are writing on the specific topic that they're given in terms of creative writing, and they are also supposed to be very creative, but more so they are supposed to be very morally upright. We don't allow anything immoral. We don't allow anything like killing people, bloody thriller movies in their compositions. We don't condone sexual matters. We don't condone drug most of these things that affect the teenagers, we don't condone them in their writing, because remember, there's a lot of exposure outside there on drug taking, killings, sexuality, and so many things. And so we emphasize on the moral. The moral part of it must be a part, and the largest part. Even if it is something negative, it should come up with morally upright stuff, and a lesson must be learned. How do you like that? Trust me, it's not easy to come up with all that and to mark for them, but we assist them and we really help them to do it. And still concentrating on my yes. And so thank you for marking with me, thank you for being with me, and this is the work that I've been doing ever since we closed, because I need to know what my students have done. I need to know where I'm supposed to help them. And then, have you subscribed? I hope you have subscribed, and thank you for being with me up to this end. May God bless you. If you have any questions, if you have anybody that you'd want me to assist, I can always do it online. And God bless you. God keep you. Bye-bye. Let me continue marking.